morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's SoulSaint here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about something that may be a reason or justification if you're new to the game or if you're an experienced veteran and you've been kind of feeling the burnout and whatnot. We are in the 5th year anniversary festival, celebratory experience right now, and I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about some reasons why I play Raid personally. So, with that being said, before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that Plarium has something special for us lined up as a part of this video. So big salutes to Plarium for the experience and the endeavor to make sure that we give you guys the reason that this video even exists for the most part. So with that being said, I want to talk to you guys about, for me personally, like my reason first and foremost, and it's no in particular order, but I will talk about one in particular that's the most important to me. But I'll leave it for last. So, number 5, my reason for playing Raid. I have been a RPG head for like the longest of time. So RPG role-playing games, I'm all about min-maxing and building up champions and being in a fantasy environment where like you have elves, you have orcs, you have everything in between, even some shadowkins, some ninjas, some really, really obscure looking champions. I gotta have a question with Plarium as to why they have some of their champions look the way they do. I'm not gonna lie, like Theodore, he's a cool champion, one of the dopest, but man, that boy looked rough. You know, but either way, my point being is that like this game brings that and it scratches that itches where I could just go and start building up a champion in a way that maybe somebody else has never done before, and that's by far one of the best reasons why I enjoy this game first and foremost, which leads into my next reason, which would be number 4. Number 4 is the diversity of this game. This game has so many different ways that you can play it. And it's really interesting to say, like, some people like to build champions for a min-maxing opportunity specifically designed for one area of the game, where others like to use them in other areas of the game. Like, for example, I actually do this for my new tier, for example, and this is actually perfect here because right now in the build that I have him designed towards, it looks like it's all over the place if you look at it from like a glance advance. Like, yeah, I technically got some set bonuses and whatnot. You know, I got some merciless, I'm on my way. And whatnot. It looks like it's all over the place, but there's actually a method behind the madness for it, right? I have him going at a particular speed with a certain amount of damage, and I'm trying to achieve greatness with him for particularly one area, which is Sand Devils, and that kind of becomes like a big focus for me because, you know, I'm farming up gear and whatnot, which talks about in the same swing of things, the diversity is like there's so many different sets, there's so many different ways you could build champions up. Like for me, I do content like Hydra and whatnot, and there's some mechanics where like having curse set could be very valuable, right? Or if we're lacking in our champion pool and we need an extra provoker, having that provoke set could give that to you, where you're able to do a little bit more there. You know, like it's very, very cool to be able to build a champion in so many different ways. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth between players about what's the best way to build a champion. But then, like, when you talk about it, you'll start seeing people involve combinations or compositions of champions together, and then it brings a full picture of like why this game does it so well comparatively to others. And believe you me, I've played some other mobile games, excuse me, that are kind of loosely based on RPG aesthetics, just like how Raid is, and the diversity is par none. Like I being able to put any piece, I can break this set right now if I so choose to. I'm not going to because I like bolster on my neck, right? But like being able to build a champion in various different ways. Some people like, I'll give an example of one that I've been going back and forth with my community tremendously on, and that's something that I think is kind of funny, and I know it's like, you know, a little unorthodox. I'm going off of a tangent here, but like some people like their Mishinaki, for example. We're talking about Hydra, for example. They like them in a more damage output oriented type set, like Savage or Lethal or something in that direction. And then for me, for example, I've been trying out Relentless on them just to see if I can get more output from them in terms of like getting more turns and you know, still not neglecting my steps, hopefully, and like just doing that back and forth and like constantly going in between like our different iterations of builds, and having that back and forth is what makes me love this game so much. It's that diversity, not only amongst the gear, not only amongst the champions, for lack of better words. I mean, if you look at all that we have to offer in terms of this game, there's over like, I think we're way north of 1,000 champions nowadays, and my champion pool ain't nothing too crazy. It's with experience and love and support from the community, which we'll talk about later. There's just so much that you could do with champions. Getting duplicates of them opens up more doors. Like, for example, having 2 Theodores is better than 1, you know? It's always good, right? Just being able to mix and match and be able to plug and play and do things in a way that allows you to express yourself in a unique way. Like, for me, I always talk about it. I've done coaching for a lot of different accounts, and And one of the things I say is, like, when I'm looking at, like, their Grey Hall, for example, even if you look at mines, the ones where you see all the 10x10s and whatnot kind of tell a story about where my progression was and what I used, right? And even now, more so now that I'm kind of spreading it and trying to make my Grey Hall look a little more pretty for you guys to enjoy seeing, you know, hopefully you'll see nothing but plates of gold soon. You know, it kind of shows you about where I'm at in the state of my game progression, and people can really kind of learn and observe it and just experience that through just the visual aspect of what this game provides, which brings me to my next point. We're perfect on segues right now. Number 3, the aesthetic of this game. It's I don't even know if we can even say it anymore at this point, but what originally started off as a mobile game has turned into a game that I'm playing on my PC desktop. My computer doesn't rest at this point because of what I could do. Like, being able to play not only on the normal side of things, but even go further beyond into the more competitive side of, like, hard content in this game, and being able to take my champion pool and going against it and understand the mechanics of it, and just being able to see, look at what Scabbard looks like in this game, you know? I'm actually going to disappear here and you guys get to see it. Look at Calvalix, and the darkness is zooming from his helmet and his chest, and you know, just seeing Gina. I have him, you know, in a Fire Knight skin, for lack of better words. They do a really good job in the design department. Every single time I'm talking about a new champion, when I'm doing a cover or showcasing of it, I always got to give a nod to the developers, who are the unsung heroes of this game. You know, they really go out of their way to make a champion just look unique and interesting, and you could see the glare off of the plate of armor, and seeing how they add like some draconic look to it, and just really making it look cool. And then even when we had our Monster Hunter collaborative themes with it, you know, to look at Rathalos. I mean, he looks so dope. I mean, it's just, these characters and these champions, they look phenomenal. And I have to say, like, truthfully, being able to experience this game at a quality as robust as this, what Plarium and what Raid provides, is by far one of the best. I mean, I see champions and their animations when they're doing stuff, and it just looks so cool. And I'm like, yeah, I got that champion. That's mine, you know? Like, I made this team. It's mine, you know? And I get to play this game. It's ours, you know? It's just fun. It's a great experience, you know? And I guess that kind of gets me to a point where, like, amongst that, because there's so much to do and there's so many different ways to approach it, it brings the next big value that I'm going to bring to the table for you guys about one of my other reasons. So I'm going to try to lock it down in 5. Maybe I go further, but we'll see. Reason number 2, challenge. I am always one that likes to keep myself engaged, always like to keep myself involved in something that's going to challenge myself mentally. I'm one of those type of people that, like, I like to consider myself a brainiac. I learn and I adapt to whatever the challenge is that's being proposed to me. Like, for example, with Amius, I got to give a big shout out to one of the guys that does a lot of content, Bronco, being able to do a solo build for Amius himself. And to be honest with you, I was like, you know what, I gotta explore this and see what he thought. And not only did my clannies pick up on it and they were gonna do it, but I did it myself, and I was like, man, I got to really, like, experience and enjoy the challenges that this game's bringing. Because, like, before I had it got exposed to this optional or alternative approach, I was throwing in champions like Rathalos, or I was trying to see if I could evolve Ancora before I realized that her refresh on her A1 or the revive was just costing me so much. Like, I was tinkering and, like, going back and forth with understanding. I get close and then I lose, or I get super far away and I lose, and it's all a part of the experience, right? The challenge and the insurmountable wall that you eventually climb, right? It's no longer insurmountable, it's surmountable, right? And I find myself always perplexed about how I can overcome my challenges, or how do I, like, one of the questions that I get asked so often is, what should I do next? What is my next focus? Who should I level up next? Who should be my next 6-star? And that is a part of the part of the experience of this game. It's like, man, there's, you know, it depends on where you're at and where you're progressing and what's your focus. You know, we have this meme in my community, exclamation focus, like, you know, what is your focus? And it really does answer a lot of questions. And a lot of times it's like, through those questions, we find ourselves creating the answer to these challenges that we're facing. And lo and behold, as we explore them, some may fail, and then eventually somewhere down the line, as you're tinkering and you're further investing to it, you find success. And that's what really kind of makes me very happy about this game. Now, there's been plenty of times where I'll give one of the biggest challenges I faced on my account prior to getting the champion pool that I have, was that, like, I was beating my head, and I could get to stage 10 using, you know, 1 newt and a couple epics, maybe some legendaries and some ally techers along the way, but it wasn't consistent. And then, lo and behold, as my champion pool developed, I found my answer to a point where not only am I farming, I'm farming consistently, I'm farming it effectively. So being able to overcome those, and that feeling of, like, accomplishment was something that I can't take away from this game giving it to me and proposing it to me in the way that they did. So with that being along the way, you know, I was basically, you know, facing those challenges and facing those insurmountable walls, as we called it. And along the way, I've had people that were there with me, right? And this is going to be my number one point, and I'm trying not to get emotional here when I say it, but the community of Raid. The reason why this game is so successful, the reason why this game is popping, the reason why SoulSaint's still locked in with it is because of the people that are around me. Big salutes to the Ascended Army for those that are still with me. I thank you so much for your loyalty. And to the general community of Raid, there's plenty of people who are not in my clan, just as an example, that are friends of the family, for lack of better words, or part of the family, you know, part of the brotherhood. And they watch me daily when I'm going through my grind, or I'm going through my focuses, or I'm working on a new challenge, or working on a new little toy. Like, for example, if you weren't there for one of my more recent live streams, we were pulling for the champion chase for Armands, which we successfully got. You know, job well done, SoulSaint. You know, you did it. We got Armands, right? But along the way, we were pulling shards and we were pulling, you know, different resources. And I was like, you know what started off as I'm just gonna pull a remnant real quick just to help me get through the champion chase. I expect nothing but like epics or whatever, because you know we don't expect our RNG to be that great. And it happily surprises you sometimes where you strike gold, or you strike red. And I get that, and it almost, it's like instant gratification. You get it and you enjoy it. Yeah, pulling shards is cool and all that, but being able to share that moment with like my community and those of you guys that are watching me daily, you know, like being able to share that experience and being able to talk about it and just seeing the chat bubble going off like crazy. Like, I normally have like a display here. I'm not doing it for the purpose of this recording, but like I normally have like my chat live for you guys to see it, and like you just see like when something cool happens, everybody's like commenting, and it's happening. I am so blessed and fortunate to be able to have that experience with you guys. And to be honest with you, that's what makes this game super dope for me, is the community. You guys are always there rooting me on. Some of you guys are wishing my demise sometimes. Sometimes you guys are memeing a little too hard, and we're listening to Golem music or like Golem AI covers, or people are like imposing restrictions on me with Knight's Law, something I have on my stream that I do, where like they restrict me from being able to use something or do something, and I'm like, well, darn it, I might as well just lose. and we go through it, but it's a part of the experience, the interaction that I have with you guys that makes this not only fulfilling, but satisfying, gratifying, a pleasure to enjoy. And I hope you guys also get to experience that feeling, and hopefully you get to see it just off of my demeanor alone and when I'm talking about it. It's I would never replace it for anything in this world, being able to share these moments with you guys. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me along the way. So, with that being said, these are some of the reasons why, if you haven't already locked in with Raid, you should consider it. We have a great time playing in different various ways. We're going to always have difference of opinions. But one thing we can always say is that we're trying to be conquerors and raiders in the world of Teleria. And that is something that we will always share together. So, as always, guys, if you haven't already considered liking, following, or subscribing to this channel, feel free to do so. Leave us a comment below. Why do you like playing Raid yourself? Is it because of the shard pulls? Some people love seeing that new yellow, seeing what they can get their hands on. Some people like to just experience the challenge of fighting a new boss or PvP, you know, that live arena, trying to be in the top of your leaderboards. Some people just love being collectors. We call it the Pokédex, similar to our Pokemon experience where people are collecting it, but I want to catch them all, you know, as an example. This is one of those things that people also go for, and that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, this is your game to play, but I'm happy to share it with you guys, and I want you to know I'm always curious to see what you guys have to say about why you enjoy it. So definitely let us know, and always remember, guys, with 5 years and counting, and hopefully for many more, always stay ascended.
Got the